Mike O'Donnell is giving us his best fits. We know, much to all of our surprise, Atlanta with that #1 spot. And literally seconds before the show, I was like, had this realization, oh, Donovan Kingan, that's what we're talking about. Not Alex Sarr, not Zachary Reese-Shea. The Hawks have the #1 overall pick for the second time in the common draft era. You see the Wizards there, the #2 overall pick. Mike likes Alex Sarr in that spot. And then the Spurs looking for some help for Wemby. They have a top 5 pick for the 5th time in franchise history. So let's get into it with Mike's best fits, and we are starting with that #1 overall spot. And a lot of mocks on CBSSports.com, really anywhere you see Alex Sarr, Zachary Reese-Shea in that spot. But you have Donovan Kingan, national champ. He's very talented, very athletic. Why do you like that fit for Atlanta over the Frenchman?
Yeah, everybody's wrong, right? And I'm just calling out everybody's mock draft. Now, if I looked at best fits, I don't think Kingan's going to go first. About 3-4 weeks ago, there were multiple mock drafts that did have Kingan first. However, if I'm looking at the Atlanta Hawks, and we're also going with the assumption the Hawks aren't going to trade that #1 pick. Sure. I mean, I have a feeling that this NBA draft is going to be absolutely wild with the amount of trading picks and teams trying to move up and down. Kingan fits in pick and roll and pick and pop scenario with the Atlanta Hawks better than anybody in this draft, I think. If you're looking at the Hawks, Trae Young, Dejounte Murray, right, you immediately think, okay, out in transition, a lot of threes, a lot of pick and roll. Well, the Hawks don't have a true rim protecting presence. And Kingan is one of the best screeners in all of college basketball this past season, period. What makes him exceptionally good inside of this, if we're just talking about pick and roll action, even though Kingan shoots less than 30% from 3, the most underrated skill of his game is his passing. A 7'2" passer throws dimes like Tom Brady at the top of the key. That's why you have to guard him so far up. It behooves the Hawks to have a player like that. You have to guard the three-point line at 7'2" that can block shots and also pass to Trae Young and Dejounte Murray in back cuts. Makes way too much sense to me.
That might be the first time I've ever heard the term behooves on HQ.
There you go.
I feel like you've said it before.
I'm a big behoove guy.
Yeah, I'm having deja vu of MOD saying behoove.
The NBA draft is intriguing, particularly this year, because of the fact that really how those first 3 picks go, the teams are going to be basing it on what the other team does and who's around them and kind of thing. The Detroit Pistons had the worst record in basketball last season, but they don't have the #1 overall pick. They're sitting there at #5. Also looking for a head coach. So, Mike, but in terms of a player fit, who do you like for the Pistons at 5?
When you look at the Pistons lineup, right, I mean, little struggles last season. I mean, they need all the help they can get, but they've got an all-star in Cade Cunningham. I mean, Cunningham is off the charts. What they don't have is the Robin to Cade Cunningham's Batman. I think Jared McCain out of Duke fits perfectly well into that Cade Cunningham. I need that guy next to me to make shots, spread the floor, play within a lot of space. And one thing I love about Jared McCain, he lets the game come to him. He's not a ball-dominant combo guard. He's not a point guard. He's not a true shooting guard. He is that true hybrid combo guard that can come off screens, that can space really well from threes, over 40% from the three-point line. I think he fits that role next to Cunningham as a versatile scorer, capable two-way player. We're not talking about how good of a defender he is as well. I like that combo with Cunningham and Jared McCain as well from Duke.
And the Pistons haven't won a playoff series since 2008. There's certainly, yeah, been a minute. They're looking to change things around. Let's go to that #9 pick. We've got to talk about the Grizzlies because they're coming off of their worst record in about 5 or 6 years. Ja Morant dealing with injuries. He is there. Who is somebody that can complement his game as well there in Memphis?
Felt like the whole Grizzlies team got crushed by injuries this past season. We'll go off the assumption that won't happen again. So even if they didn't draft anybody, the Grizzlies are going to be better. But Devin Carter in Memphis, that culture, the physicality, the style of play, the elite toughness that he plays with. You don't just need a backup to Ja Morant, who's one of the best point guards in the country. You need a point guard who can also play with Ja Morant. And there aren't many players that are going to be able to push the pace, keep up with Ja Morant, and not demand the ball and feel like I have to make plays going with a player like Ja Morant. And that's Devin Carter. And I mean, this is elite toughness and competitiveness out of Providence. 6'3". Think Patrick Beverly mixed with Bruce Brown. That's who I like to see with Devin Carter. And you add him next to John Morant. I love that. I mean, No Ceilings had a really good compliment about Devin Carter. He's college basketball's version of Troy Polamalu, who just never stops moving. He's always attacking. You think of it, and he can space a little over 30% from three. That's a tough combo. That'd be a dangerous combo to scout against.
I'm liking these NFL references that we're getting sprinkled in with our NBA draft analysis.
See, I know more than college basketball. Jeremy.
Well, hey, you were the one that said, is this hockey?
That's true. That's true.
At number 10, we've got the Utah Jazz, and you're looking at SEC Player of the Year Dalton Connect, who's looking to become the first Vols player to be drafted in the top 10 since 1983. What do you like about this fit with Connect and the Jazz?
So the Jazz are kind of rebuilding and trying to win at the same time. And so if Connect falls to the Jazz, you just have to take him. I don't know if this is much about fit as much as I'd like to see Dalton Connect next to Lauri Markkanen. That's what I'd really like to see. And Danny Ainge in the Jazz front office, I mean, they know what they're doing. They drafted Keontae George last season, Taylor Hendricks, great picks in that draft. And I'd love to see Connect paired with Lauri Markkanen, who had an all-star season. And when you are kind of lacking depth at wing outside of Markkanen, enter Tennessee star and All-American Dalton Connect. He was the most dynamic scorer in college basketball, over 21 points a game, shot over 40% from three. So you're talking about a player who can take pressure off of Lauri Markkanen and some of those guards. Three-level scorer, but just efficiency, guys. He's the third most efficient scorer in college basketball behind Zach Edey and Jaden Ledee this past season. Great get for the Jazz if they can get him at that pick level.
How surprised would you be if he's still around there with that number 10 pick?
A little bit. I wouldn't be shocked. I think he goes within the top 8, but he won't go beyond 10. I don't think there's any chance that Connect falls out of the top 10.
So that's why we're not talking about him with Sacramento, because they have the 13th pick. Coming off of back-to-back winning seasons for the first time in about 15 years, who could be the guy for them as far as fit goes?
First of all, the Atlantic 10 is not a mid-major. I just have to say that and get that off of my chest. So anytime we talk about Dayton in the Atlantic 10, they're not a mid-major. Deron Holmes fits really well with the Kings. The Kings' talents in the backcourt is so good, and you just saw Malik Monk just re-sign with the Kings for over $78 million. That's all right. That's a good placement with Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox. The backcourt is set. You have some pieces in the front court, but what you're looking at is a rim protector who is Deron Holmes was Defensive Player of the Year in the Atlantic 10, but you're also looking for a pick-and-pop guy, and that's where Holmes fits in exceptionally well with the Sacramento Kings. Shot over 38% from three at 6'9", 6'10", catches everything around the rim. It's going to be Lob City with Sacramento, and you've got Kevin Huerter. You add Deron Holmes to this lineup, defensively, offensively, I think he fits seamlessly into the Sacramento Kings. I know he's an older player, but when you look at Monte McNair, GM of the Kings, he's not afraid. He showed willingness to draft older guys. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Kings get Deron Holmes here. I like that fit a lot.
All right, Mike O'Donnell, best fits for the upcoming NBA draft. Good stuff as always, Mike. Good to have you as part of the program once again. And of course, we are sitting 5 days out from the NBA draft. Mike, of course, going to be a part of our draft coverage. Keep it locked here on HQ for our on-the-clock coverage. It gets underway June 26th, first night of the draft, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, presented by Jeep. Tommy Tran, Tim Doyle, and Cool Mo D. Getting you all set for the NBA draft.